This is a noob who has never played hardcore before, a noob who can't even do a water bucket MLG properly. And somehow, that same noob thought, yeah, I can beat Minecraft in hardcore. That noob is me. In this video, I'm going to try to beat Minecraft hardcore for the first time in my life. But there's one small problem. I'm not very good at this game. So grab your snacks, get cozy, and let's find out how many attempts it takes for me to finally beat the Ender Dragon in hardcore. As always, we started by punching a tree. With a wooden pickaxe, I could finally get stone tools, so these wooden tools could go straight into retirement. Not long after that, I found coal, but right beside it, I also found iron, which made me think maybe this world actually liked me. I smelted the iron, and the first thing I made was not a pickaxe. It was a shield, because in hardcore, surviving is more important. I also made a sword, just in case anything decided to look at me funny. While wandering around, I heard a pig. I couldn't find him, but it was getting dark, and this little area looked like a decent place to survive the night. So I cleaned it up a bit, blocked myself in, and honestly, it wasn't bad. There's the pig I was searching for. You sneaky little guy. Since I had nowhere else to go, I started mining down from there. I found a lot of coal, and even this little lush cave area. Not bad for day one. By the time I came back up, it was already morning. Therefore, it was time to leave the cave, kill the pig, obviously, and move on with my life. With all my iron smelted, I finally crafted iron tools. This cave was a great starting point, but we couldn't live in a hole forever. I got distracted by these turtles for a bit, but eventually I crafted a boat and sailed over to a small island with a shipwreck. Well, shipwreck might be a generous word. This thing looked more like a wet pile of wood. Still, it had a chest. There was another chest too. I did get a treasure map though. The problem was, I had absolutely no idea how to read it. I kept staring at it like my brain was going to magically update itself. It did not. The next morning, I tried sailing around to figure it out, but nope, nothing. Eventually, I gave up. After that, I started gathering resources and searching for a place to settle down. This area had a huge ravine, a ruined portal, and of course, sneaky little creepers. But it was open, it had resources nearby, and it looked like a good place to build. So I decided this would be home. I put my things down and started cleaning the area. If I wanted to survive hardcore, I needed more than a dirt box. I needed a real house. I had an idea for the build, but there was one problem. I'm not a good builder. So if this turned out ugly, just know that I tried. The house was slowly becoming a house, but it still needed a roof and windows. Because if you don't add those, bad things happen. With the windows done, the house was safer, but there was still a lot left to do. I wanted to make a second floor, and I also wanted it to look decent. But before that, we needed more resources. Therefore, I went down into the cave. And here come the greetings. We found iron. Then I decided to go deeper. The next day, I was about to leave. But wait, is that a mineshaft? I decided to investigate. After searching for a while, I finally saw daylight. I made it back home and look at this full iron armor. Not bad. That meant it was the perfect time to work on the house again. It was still basically a box, but it was a good start. So I started working on the second floor. I'll spare you the entire building process, but I think it was starting to look decent. The next day, I went back down into the ravine because I needed more resources for other upcoming challenges. But somehow, I ended up back in the mineshaft again. I explored it, dealt with a few mobs, and searched around for anything valuable. I didn't find much, except a spider spawner, which could be useful later as an XP farm. But on the way back, I ran into a lot of mobs. Somehow I survived and made it home. needed to mass produce chickens. But to do that, I needed seeds. So, you'll never guess what I did next. I started making a farm beside my house. With the farm ready, all I had to do was gather some chickens, breed them, and we would be all set. Or so I thought. Because then this guy showed up. I died to a skeleton jockey, a 1% mob. Maybe hardcore just isn't for me. Maybe I should give up. Or maybe I should try again because I'm going to beat this game no matter what. Once again, I started with wood, then stone. Very exciting stuff. But this time, I found a beautiful place to settle down. I also got chased by wolves because apparently even nature wanted me gone. After surviving that, I started working on the base. This world already felt better than the last one. I needed stronger gear, fast. So I went mining. Eventually, I found my first diamond. And somehow even more. I thought I was gone, but somehow I escaped into a mineshaft, explored a little, and made my way back home. With diamonds secured, I started working on my house. This time, I used a reference so it would look better than the previous one. Because let's be honest, the last house was mostly a survival box with windows. This one was moving along pretty well. I decided to finish the second floor later. For now, I wanted to explore the surroundings. There was a huge cave under the mountain. So I ran around checking the area. That almost gave me a heart attack. This guy was stuck, but I wasn't about to risk it. The next day, I explored in another direction and found a ruined portal. The loot was, well, not really loot. After that, I kept going and eventually found a beautiful but dangerous place. If I fall here, it was all over. That's enough exploration for one day. So I headed back home to build some essentials. First, a sugarcane farm, then a wheat farm. This way, I would have paper for enchanting, wheat for food, and seeds for breeding chickens. I also found a good place for an animal farm. So I started cleaning the area. While I was working, this skeleton decided to intrude. Therefore, I promptly took care of him. Now it's time to lure in some innocent animals. Eat well, make a lot of babies so that I can butcher you later. Now for the chickens. Later, while wandering around as usual, I found this hole that led into a massive cave. Two skeletons down, but this place was filled with them. I needed to make a tactical retreat. Soon after, I found another hole leading even deeper underground. Obviously, I went in, and obviously, I was greeted by more skeletons. So obviously, I made another tactical retreat. After healing, I went out once again and slowly started clearing the area. I wanted to go deeper, but skeletons are so annoying. Eventually, I decided to get out and go home. I was spending a peaceful time at base, but then some uninvited guests arrived at my doorstep. I needed a plan, so I made a hole here, placed ladders, and used the roof as a sniping tower. I didn't have many arrows, but it was better than fighting all of them on the ground. Once the arrows ran out, I finished the rest with my sword. Now it was time to make a diamond pickaxe. Because we needed better gear. I did not want to die to a skeleton jockey again. But honestly, that was a skill issue. But you can't afford dumb mistakes when your gear is bad. I only had 7 diamonds, which was not exactly a lucky run. Therefore, I decided to explore open caves instead. But look at the amount of mobs. I didn't see any diamonds nearby. Wait, there's one. And there's more. I also grabbed obsidian for the nether portal. On the way out, I saw light. But there were still a lot of mobs, so I had to clear them carefully. Finally, we were out. After that, I went on an expedition to find a village. I tried the water bucket MLG, and being the noob I am, I failed multiple times. After roaming around for a while and finding no village, I decided to head back. Back home, I started working on the second floor. I'll see you in a while. This guy was chilling, and I just had to poke him. We can both play the throwing game. The house was starting to look good. I think it was decent enough to live in. I was peacefully building, but then the pillagers decided to visit again. After dealing with them, I went back to building the animal farm. A house, a wheat farm, and an animal farm. That's all a man needs. But we wanted more. So we went back down into the caves, searching for diamonds. This cave was huge. It would take hours to explore the whole thing. But diamonds were the reasons we were here. And we found some. We also found another huge mineshaft. And lots of mobs. I was clearing them slowly, but then I came face to face with a witch. Dealing with witches without arrows is super dangerous. Poison brings you down to half a heart, and if anything touches you after that, you're done. But somehow, I survived that mess, explored the mineshaft, found more diamonds, and made it home. At home, I finally made the enchanting table. Afterwards, I went out for another exploration trip. I still couldn't find a village, but I did find a jungle temple. Honestly, I had never been inside one before. Okay, we're out of there. This place looked amazing. I've never built a house in a biome like this before, but I think I might do it in a future video. It would probably look even better if I had a better PC. It started raining, and I found another beautiful lush cave. I don't know why, but I really like these things. I also like moving around in a boat. Eventually, I got home, and finally, it was time to conquer the Nether. So we dug a hole for the portal, geared up, laid the gate, and stepped in. The first thing I did was box in our portal because I did not want a ghast ruining my day. Soul Sand is one of the most annoying blocks in the game. It makes you slow, and I was surrounded by it. I didn't really know what I was doing there, but I knew one thing. It was time to go back, because skeletons were falling from the sky. I am one of you, buddy. I'm wearing a golden helmet. See, back home, I fed my animals and enchanted a few items. I wanted to be fully prepared before searching for the Nether Fortress. After searching for a long time, I finally found the fortress. I also found the Crimson biome, which meant I could get leather from hoglins. First, I thought they couldn't reach me from 2 blocks high. Then I thought I could fight them head on. By the way, I'm going to upload videos regularly from now on. I'll be doing a lot of modded hardcore challenges. So if you enjoy this kind of content, consider subscribing. It genuinely gives me a lot of motivation. Anyway, back to not dying. I needed blaze rods, nether warts, and ender pearls. Once we had those, we could finally go to the end and beat the lizard. He almost gave me a heart attack. Seriously, what is this game? Nether world was done. I ran out of arrows. But eventually, blaze roads were done too. Now, the only thing I needed was ender pearls. But before that, I went home. I needed to make myself stronger. So I repaired my tools and went mining for diamonds. I found 21 diamonds in that run. With that, I went back to the nether to gather ender pearls. I also found a ruined portal there, which had a looting 3 golden sword. That was going to make things much easier. That was a scary moment. With enough pearls, I headed home, but I still needed a few more materials before fighting the dragon, especially slow falling potions. Therefore, I had to fight phantoms and get their membranes. I fed my cows, repaired my sword, and prepared to do something cruel. It was time to butcher the cows for leather. I'm sorry, guys, but I need the bookshelves. I made a bunch of bookshelves and maxed out my enchanting table. I disenchanted my sword to try for a better enchantment. I also got protection for all my leggings. Now I needed XP, so I went to the nether. This is a great method if you didn't know. Afterwards, I made the slow falling potions, crafted the eyes of Ender, and finally went out to find the stronghold. After traveling thousands of blocks, I think I found it. Finally. But then I found something I definitely wasn't prepared for. A stronghold connected to an ancient city. What are the chances? I had to be extremely careful not to trigger the Warden, because if I did, that was probably game over. I took care of the silverfish, but then I realized something terrible. I didn't have enough eyes of Ender to fill the portal. I wasted too many while searching for the stronghold. I was too short. So I decided to gather obsidian and search for a ruined portal to enter the Nether. Because I was not going all the way back home from thousands of blocks away. Luckily, there was a portal nearby. I repaired it and went back to the Nether. Back to the fortress again. I collected more blaze rods. The thing about the Nether is that distance works differently. A few hundred blocks in the Nether means a few thousand blocks in the overworld. Therefore, I use that to travel back home and prepare properly for the fight. I enchanted my items, gathered XP, and enchanted again. After all that, I think I was ready. Everything was set. Now, let's go beat the lizard. There were two things I had to be careful about. First, do not mess with the Enderman. Second, do not die from fall damage. Let's go. Finally, the lizard is dead. The end is free, and I officially completed my first hardcore world. Now, let's go home. That was a wonderful journey. We started as a noob who died to a 1% skeleton jockey, but somehow we ended by beating the Ender Dragon in hardcore. Guys, thank you so much for staying with me through the journey. Tell me in the comments what I should do next, and I'll see you in the next one.